And here's my guest, Mark Healey. I'm glad you had to go through all that different stuff I put on the beginning of this. Now I'm trying to feel more and more professional, but I failed at it again.
What's up, buddy?
So this is my pal Mark Healey. He talented writer. He came out with this book, Gotham Baseball, New York's all all time team. I don't want to butcher that. That's such a great picture of you without the beard, QBC all over you. I love it. I also love the Gotham Baseball jersey that you had done too.
Yeah, that was obviously our buddy Todd Radham designed it for the book, actually, and our other buddy Russ Gompers was the one who basically stitched it up and created it. So I was really thankful. He did one for my dad too, which he gets along famously with my dad, so he made one for my dad too. So my dad got a big kick out of it. Russ gets a big kick out of my dad. So. And really, the QBC, as I wrote in the acknowledgments of the book, Keith, if it wasn't for the QBC, I don't think I would have written the book or at least gotten the book published because, another one of the presenters was Brian Wright, who I met at QBC, and he was the one who hooked me up with my publisher. So, QBC was a big part of certainly has always been a big part of everything that I do. And you guys have been very instrumental in, so many things that we've done over the years. So I'm eternally thankful to you and to Dan and to all the people at QBC. You guys are great.
Well, I got to say, thank you for even putting us in the book. That's like the third book I've been in now. And it just totally blows my mind from being a kid. We're in Shamsky's book with the QBC. I'm in Cerrone's book, The Bucket List for Mets fans, throwing out the first pitch. I'm in my cousin Send the Beer Guy book. And I might be in something else. I don't even know. But it's crazy, knowing so many cool authors and people that are Mets fans that appreciate other fans. And the fact that us doing a fan fest that the Mets didn't do in the past led to us meeting you, knowing you, and then that had a connection that helped you publish a book. It's amazing. And it blows my mind, like how tight knit our community is and what we do for each other.
Well, it's funny. I met Dan, and that's, I don't even know if you know how I met Dan. I met Dan years ago when the Brooklyn Cyclones first came to town. Dan was part of this Yahoo group that, that was because I was covering the Cyclones. It was the first year I was actually, I had been working at Associated Press, and a buddy of mine was the managing editor of this Brooklyn Weekly. And I said to him, are you guys going to be covering, are you guys going to be covering the Cyclones first season? And he said, yeah, but we have somebody. And I'm like, look, I don't care. I will do it for free. I will do it better than whoever you have. I said, it's Brooklyn baseball. I grew up in Brooklyn. I have to do this. And he was like, okay, but I'll pay you, whatever. And I don't know, one night, I guess it was Dan, it might have been Dan, complaining about people smoking on the concourse at Keyspan Park. And we got into this big fight on the Yahoo message board. And finally, I was like, you know what? We don't even know each other and we're yelling at each other. Why don't we meet after a game? And we'll, if you think I'm an idiot after we, hang out a little bit, then okay, I get it. But let's meet, So we wound up meeting and we wound up talking for like 3 hours after a game. It was like all night. And it was pretty cool. And I remember him telling me about the Mets Police website. He was like, hey, Mark, me and my friends are starting this website called metspolice.com. And, so I've known, I've known about you guys for a long time. It's like 20 years now. It's 20 years I know Dan Tuick. So you're right. It is an incredible network of people, but I think it's because, rooting for the Mets, like, it builds character. You know what I'm saying? All the losing. I mean, you have to have something else that fills in the gaps. And I think our love for the team and then there's really, let's be honest, with you, with Dan, with all the people that I've met through QBC, it really is just such a wonderful group of people that you can't help but develop these great relationships. So that's why I love QBC. I love what you guys have done with it, and this is all this other stuff, this relationship, this getting to know each other, this networking. I found out what you do, and I'm so fascinated by it. I used to be an actor. So when I meet somebody on the other side that's so technically gifted that can do all these different things, that fascinates me because I am useless in that area. The machinations I had to do to even make this like that you can see me. I mean, otherwise I'd be in the dark. What I had to rig up here to be on this tonight. So, it really is an incredible group of people that has created all these extended groups of people too. So I love it. I love every minute of it.
Yeah. I mean, I give my cousin a lot of crap with Mets Police, and I forget what year it was, but I just had enough of them. And we were just rubbing each other the wrong way. So that's why I left Mets Police.
Right.
And every now and then he just like craps someone. He's like, hey, you're really, stealing my shtick. I'm like, have you realized how much DNA of mine is in Mets Police? I'm like, it's more like you stole my shtick. I used to be the guy that was grouchy all the time, that everybody, right, was like, what a goon, Right. Now everybody loves me and can't stand him.
I remember once I messaged you on Twitter and I was like, man, that guy's a tool. And you're like, he's my cousin. I'm like, well, okay, I guess he's your cousin, but he's still a tool.
and I did not disagree with you, did I?
No. And then he always reaches out and he goes, I'm just like, messing with you. I'm like, yes, I know. But look, it's fun, man. And that's the thing. It's like Twitter is like, and I try to tell people this. Social media is like a nail gun. You either know how to use it, or you don't know how to use it and you leave it alone, or you respect it and you read the directions, or at least learn how to use it before you actually try to put something together. And unfortunately, sometimes, social media is what you make of it, and if you're a person that wants to be a troll, if you're a person that, doesn't want to do the right thing, then that's what you're going to attract. But if you try to be honest with people, I mean, look, I'm not perfect. I mean, there's been times that, I've, dusted, had some dust ups on Twitter and things like that with people who I thought weren't doing the right thing, or, whatever, or disagreed or questioned my integrity or whatever. But, unfortunately, now that I have my white beard and I'm a little bit older, I think I've learned a little bit how to interact with people. And I think I've seen the results of that. People interact more. People don't, question my instincts, or my intentions. They don't question my intentions because I'm a straight shooter. So, and I think being at QBC has really, honestly, Keith, I'm not just saying that. I think being a part of QBC, getting to meet a lot of the fans and the followers up close and shaking their hands and being accessible to them, I think that's I've earned their respect, I guess, a little bit, and vice versa. When people make the attempt to get to know you rather than just, mess with you on social media, it adds an element. And I think it takes away a little bit of the internet tough guy persona, and a little bit more of, I actually want to interact with somebody else and talk about the team I love, or movies I love, or shows I love. And that's the enjoyment I get out of it, of being of being on social media and being in this community.
Yeah, I mean, I've met a lot of my friends, a lot of people that actually, my best friend, Randy, who was my best man in my wedding, I didn't know him before like Twitter. One day we just started talking about Eurotrip. We clicked. We talked the whole night, hung out at Mets games, became super close, and he ended up being my best man.
Yeah.
He did a lot of graphics for Mets Police.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that we used to mess with my cousin all about, because my cousin would be like, "Hey, why you guys haven't done any photoshops for me?" It's like, we have lives. We're out hanging out right now. Why don't you do it? Oh, that's right. You couldn't. But yeah. So for all the negativity that social media has, there's some positive stuff that comes out of it. And like, I wouldn't be able to do the QBC with Dan if we didn't have social media, be able to promote it, talk to people, have you promote it, have you as an advocate for the QBC, have, people that know you and me that are fans of the Mets, fans of us, fans of the QBC itself, help it grow, and then help other projects like your book grow. The funny thing is, when I read your book, I got it on my Kindle, and I was like, all right, I know Mark Healey, but let me get to know Mark Healey now. Especially with you being an actor, trying to be an actor, it explains so much to me now. So much.
It's funny, sometimes I forget that the people who only know me through Twitter, or only know me through covering the Mets or covering the Yankees or writing or, even working at the Wave. When I throw in, when I say, oh, I used to be an actor, I mean, I really was an actor. Like, I really excuse me. I'm going to choke to death on the air.
We only have 6 viewers right now. You don't want to choke to death. Make it a little higher, maybe.
Yeah, we'll get 20.
Yeah.
I have my water right here. Give me a second. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
See, actors. This is what I'm talking about.
We're so delicate. We're delicate geniuses. I can't believe I'm choking to death. So, like I write about in the book, acting was always something that was a huge passion of mine. And, when I graduated college, I moved to Hollywood. And, look, I wouldn't trade that year of living there, living on ramen noodles and living through the Rodney King riots. And I lived right in the smack dab in Hollywood. So I was there for everything. A couple of earthquakes. It was an eventful year, needless to say. But as broken as I was when I came back and as miserable as I was and depressed, I really
I can't believe I broke Healey already. We're not even 15 minutes in and I broke him.
Okay. Oh my goodness.
You okay?
Yeah, I'll try this again.
You good? You want me to talk for a few minutes just to let you build up the
Don't make me laugh. Okay, so as I was saying, when I came back, I still tried to do off-Broadway stuff. A friend of mine, Chris Cardona, who I talk about in the book, we put together a repertory company and we did some off-Broadway stuff. And I just got to the point where I studied broadcasting in college and I just felt like, Keith, that, my then girlfriend, now wife, had waited for me when I went to California. She was still in school. And, she never, ever said, you can't act anymore or anything like that. She has always been my biggest supporter. She's always been the person that has always been there for me. And I just felt like, I want to get married. I want to have kids and I don't want to be in this miserable, like rejection driven life, and subjecting my family to that. I just didn't. I mean, I thought that, going into the media was going to be a little bit easier and not so competitive. Okay. But I just felt that, the only other thing I ever loved as much as acting and being on stage was the theater, was sports, and, specifically baseball. And I thought that going back to school, I went to Connecticut School of Broadcasting, and I learned more in that, few months about, being on camera, being behind a microphone, than I had in my 4 years in college, because most of the time I was in college, even though I was studying communications, I was in the shows. I mean, I was acting. I was, basically that was what I thought I was going to be. That's what I thought I was going to do. So I had to kind of pivot when I turned 26, 27 years old. And everybody else that had been part of, most people, when they start in broadcasting or they start in sports, they do it right when they get out of college. They get an internship and they get, they start working right away. So I was already behind the 8 ball. So, the whole acting thing, it really helped me. I think it has helped me in every aspect of my career, because when you deal with that world, and you deal with that kind of rejection, and you deal with what you're willing to do to get what you want, if you have to wait tables, if you have to bartend, if you have to work security, if you have to do those things, to get the brass ring, you do it. You know what I'm saying? You do it.
You wear Garfield pajamas when you come onto a show?
Oh, is this thing on? What's going on?
Oh my goodness.
Mark, you know Joe, graphics joker, right?
Oh, I love. Let me tell you something. I owe him about 5 emails, because we had this wonderful. He's laughing because he's like, "Yeah, guy, I'm waiting on you, pal." I am a huge fan of Joe. Hey, Joe.
I'm a fan of yours.
Well, this is like a mutual love fest. Look at that.
That's why I came on.
Good to see you, buddy.
I see you too.
You could watch Mark die in front of us from choking on water now.
Oh my God, I don't know what.
It's my interview skills. It's just killing him. See?
Oh my God.
Mark, you need to take a lap.
This never happens to me, ever. I can't tell you how many times I was on the air when I was on Sirius, where I had a coughing fit, but I was always able to stop coughing when I would get, behind the microphone after a break. This is ridiculous. I've never done this before.
I'm telling you, it's me.
All
It's my interview skills. It's just killing you.
I guess I will blame you. You could be the scapegoat. You could be the scapegoat.
Yes. So back to the book and back to your wife being your rock. I think the three of us have our ladies behind us that help like keep us focused and support us. And I know Joe's wife does that with him. My wife, who was a Yankees fan that I converted to a Mets fan and became like one of the biggest Mets fans now. And she's, she loves the QBC. I think she loves it more than I do at this point. I'm not 100% sure, but I think she does.
Well, she's lovely. She's a very, very, very nice woman. I'm lucky to have met her. Joe's wife is obviously, a saint, because, just look at the guy.
She's not even home right now. That's why I'm wearing this.
We broke Mark.
I'm just trying to get Garfield to follow me on Twitter. So I thought if I wore this and I tweeted it out, maybe he'd follow me back finally.
Well, you need to eat some lasagna right now.
Yes.
I got nothing, man. That is an impressive outfit you got on there, Joe.
I've been waiting like weeks, months, right, Keith, to wear this, and he's like, wait till Mark comes on.
Oh my God.
And I was like, yes, tonight is the night.
Tremendous.
Tremendous.
Yeah, what he doesn't tell you, there's a litter box right behind him too. So
you don't have a cam there, do you?
See, now he has good lighting. Did you set up his home studio?
Joe's actually, I don't have, I gave him some tweaks, but Joe pretty much did it himself.
You have a lot of lights here.
Yeah, I have to. You guys have to give me some pointers.
I just added another light. This one.
Yeah, I have. This is like a Little Rascals setup over here. So I'm doing my best. Because I really want to. The one thing I was talking about this today when I was interviewing a city council candidate. The one thing that the pandemic has given us is Zoom. Because honestly, I'd never heard of it. I mean, I kind of sort of had heard of it, but I didn't really do a lot of, conferencing. I would call somebody, I'd interview them, or I'd do it on email. And, I was using Blog Talk Radio. I mean, that's how I used to do my podcasts. Even when I was doing live remotes from Mickey Mantle's or Foley's, we did it, we did it on Blog Talk Radio. So for me, using Zoom, and I'm sure you guys feel the same way, using Zoom has been like a window into a brand new way of doing all this stuff. And it certainly has been extremely helpful for me. I mean, just to get a lot of the work done that I wasn't able to get done a year ago.
Yeah. And then, what you're saying about Zoom, Joe introduced me to StreamYard. So if he didn't introduce me to StreamYard, we wouldn't have had the virtual QBC. We wouldn't be doing this right now. And so like for all the stuff I've helped people with, like with lighting and, audio and stuff like that, Joe's the reason why I was able to pull this off now.
Oh, I thought it was Dave.
Look at you, Joe.
See, I'm good for something.
Dave can barely turn on his computer.
I hear Dave has a new computer now, so
he still doesn't know how to turn it on. That's why he's not on. So Mark, Joe and Dave Maggio have become like my cohorts on this. So like they help me with some of the heavy lifting, and they'll come out with a question that I might miss. So
right,
I'm lucky to have hit both of them sometimes, or one or the other. And for the beginning of this, just had me, and I suck at times. So at least I know.
Yeah, you know what it is, Key? What I appreciate about you is that I know that whatever questions you ask or whatever things that you choose to say are from the heart. There's no artifice with you, and that is so rare in this business. There's so many people that have an agenda, or just blow smoke up your butt to get something. And again, look, that it goes, it's par for the course, right? Like those things happen. And when you're trying to get a book published, you're trying to get a show produced, you're trying to sell art, whatever it is you have to do, obviously you're trying to, it's not just about ego. I mean, we all have a healthy ego. It's partly, it's partly that, but it's also, this is what my passion is. So I want my passion to get the kind of support that I think it deserves. And it's not being delusional. It's if you're going to commit so much of your life to something that you love to do, then you can't, what does Warren Swanson say? You can't half-ass two things. You got to whole-ass one thing, right?
like wearing a Garfield PJs.
Exactly.
I'm half-assing like 5 things. Not even wearing this costume right.
Right. But that's what it is. Like, we care about what we're doing. So, and like going back to what you said before about this networking of people and these relationships that we've cultivated all these years. I mean, it's I know where it comes from, like if you ask me to be on this, to moderate the State of the Mets panel, I know that you're not doing it for any other reason than you think that I do a good job. And that is a powerful, powerful thing. And I've always appreciated it because I love doing the State of the Mets. I love being at the QBC. And, it's just such an energizing day. You get there in the morning, you close up at night. I mean, it's 8 hours of fun. You know, my dad loves it. I don't think Joe's met my dad, right? You haven't been. Have you ever been at a QBC, Joe?
No, I just the virtual one, obviously this year, and then
Yeah.
I was gonna go to the last one, but I didn't make it.
Yeah, that's my dad. He looks
Yeah,
exactly like
Terry
him.
Collins photos. Yeah,
And our buddy Jesse, Jesse Burke, he actually got that's a Terry Collins game used jersey that Jesse got. Did you know that Jesse got that for him?
Yeah.
Keith?
Yeah, Jesse actually told me. I thought it was great.
yeah.
So,
Great. He looks like they look similar.
oh my God. Were you there after I think we were outside and you were helping Chris Flexen put his stuff in the car at Catch Astoria, and some guy came out and apologized to Terry Collins like he was apologizing to my dad for asking him to sign at a restaurant in Port St. Lucie. So Terry, I'm really sorry that I bothered you that day.
Your dad should have been like, "Don't let it happen again."
Dan was probably outside because I think I was running around and producing the panels at that point. I think it might have been SNY.
I think it was at the end. I could have sworn it was you saying goodbye to Chris Flexen, but I whatever.
Well, Chris and Todd left early. They rode together to the airport. So I was inside dealing with the SNY guys, and because of all the production stuff, I was in charge of that, and Dan was making sure the talent was coming in and out.
Right. But I mean, no matter where it was, there's always a lot of fun. And my dad loves it. When my mom was sick, and like she always got a kick out of him talking about the day, because he would talk about it for hours and hours and hours, and so that was always a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Would he get asked for
I hope we get
autographs
to do it again. I hope we get to do it again, man. I really do.
He would get asked for autographs a lot, often, or
all the time.
That's great.
All the time.
He scared the hell out of Wally.
Yeah. It was funny. It was funny because, I've known Wally for years, and I never told him, that, he never met my dad. So when I knew that Wally was going to be at that QBC, I was like, oh, this is going to be hilarious. And he was. And Wally, for a second, and Wally's good friends with Terry. He and Mookie too. When Mookie was there, Mookie was had to do a double take. So did Todd Hundley. Remember? I don't know if you remember that. When Todd was at the dais, my father just walks in and goes up and shakes his hand. Just walks. Todd Hundley was like, "The hell was that?" That was classic. Oh my God.
Yeah, Mark's dad is hilarious. I've been able to talk to him. I haven't been able to talk to him as much as I want to, but because I'm usually getting pulled in 18 different directions when he's around. Right. But I definitely got to hang out with him one day.
He's got all the stories, man.
And to actually circle back, we're going to go back to your book and how you talk about how your mom, how we were just talking about how there was women in our lives that were pillars of strength for us. And the way you talk about your mom in the book, it's, I'm pretty stoic. It actually, brought a tear to my eye too.
Well, she was a great lady, and it's funny. She wasn't really that big of a baseball fan. I mean, as a kid, she was a Brooklyn Dodger fan. And, when she was in nursing school, it's in her little graduate thing, big Brooklyn Dodger fan. She would watch the games with us and stuff, when the Mets would be in the playoffs and things like that. But, it didn't, rule her life like it did my me and my dad. But she was the one that, she bought me this book about baseball in the year 2000. It was a history book. It was one of those coffee table books that you get, at Costco. And she would always get me stuff like that. So, I picked up the book and I read it, and it was one of the first things I read was about Jack Chesbrough winning 41 games in 1903. And I was like, 41 games, that no one's ever broken that. I mean, they always make a big deal about Denny Nagel winning, not Denny Nagel, Denny McLean winning 31 games. And that was, 31 games. And I'm like, but this guy won 41. That's got to be the record, right? So I looked it up and I was like, I consider myself kind of a baseball historian. And I didn't know that. And that kind of gave me the idea to create Gotham Baseball, to create a website, create a magazine, create like this place where people who love baseball, love the Mets, love the Yankees, and it was my father-in-law that also gave me the idea not to just do the Mets. He was like, why don't you do both? You know both, you've covered both. Why don't you write about both? And my mom was just somebody that like, she's just a powerful, powerful presence in my life. And, she's, she passed away the day before Thanksgiving, 2018. And the fact that she wasn't around when this book got published was not an easy thing. And, it was, it was rough, but, my dad always talks about her. He misses her every day. That was his, best friend. And, the fact that she's not here watching all the different things that my kids are going through. And it's when your mom is such a big part of your life and she's not there anymore, it's, it's definitely it's definitely because you think about her all the time. I do, like whenever I cook, she taught me how to cook. So whenever I'm making a meal for my family, which is often, I'm making sauce or I'm making, macaroni or something, she's the one who taught me how to do it. So, yeah. So obviously, she was a very powerful force and she's missed.
Yeah, I could tell that in the book too, like when you were talking about her. So, it really struck me. And the one thing I really loved about your book, which is Gotham Baseball, New York's all-time team, was the fact that it was great with the personal stories versus the reason why you picked the players and for each position, and it felt good that it wasn't just like another stats book, and it right. Felt like it was really personal. And and my favorite part of the book is when you get mugged for various reasons. Bet you didn't see that coming.
No. That was really the I certain things in your life are very vivid. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I mean, which one? There was a couple of times.
The first one, I think, was on Flatbush Avenue.
Yes. When I got my finger broken by the bicycle thieves. And, yeah. And then there was another time, right, just a couple of blocks away from my house. And then, the one in Hollywood, that was the one where I was just done. I was done. I was like, that's it. Say goodbye to Hollywood, like Billy Joel saying. I was ready. I called my girlfriend, who's now my wife, and I said, all right, I'm out. And she was like, okay, let's go and get yourself back home. But
now just imagine if you decided to become an actor like today when there's more stuff going on in New York and you didn't have to go to Hollywood.
I think going to Hollywood was dumb, to be honest with you. I would never, I don't have regrets. I don't think that's a way to live. There was a lot of things that happened there that were good things. I got to meet a lot of people that are friends today. I try to think about it fondly as often as possible. I think about the great things that happened there, but, there was some visceral things that happened, but I mean, I have some great stories, stuff that happened to me. I mean, it's just, like the time I was working at FedEx at the LAX airport, and some yo-yo in Chicago had put a metal box on top of like all these empty boxes. So when I was unloading the thing that comes off the plane, this metal box like hits me right in my head, like knocked me right out. Like
explanation number 2 of why you are like this.
Right. And they took me to the Tommy Lasorda Medical Center. And the doctor's like, you have the hardest head known to man. I don't know how you don't have a fractured skull. Because you had to see this thing that I got hit in the head with. It was like one of those shiny metal boxes. And it was like, I don't know what was in it, but it felt like it was full of bricks, you know? And yeah, so there you go. But really, honestly, and then, the fact that it was the Tommy Lasorda Medical Center, I don't think I wrote that in the book. I think I cut that out at some point. I wish I had put it in because it was kind of funny. Because
you got to save stuff for the second book.
Yeah, I know. And what was funny about that is that, I wish I had remembered that when I met Tommy Lasorda and was talking to him about Gotham baseball. I would have said, yeah, and they took me to the medical center. Maybe that's why I made it out okay, But yeah, I mean and I have to tell you this, that I'm very touched that you got the book, Keith, and I really appreciate that. And your support for it has been really, really nice, and I really appreciate it.
Well, I actually bought it twice. I have a hard copy.
That's what I'm saying. You bought the Kindle and you bought the actual copy. I got to sign it for you next time I see you.
That'd be awesome. I need some firewood. We had a couple of comments before, and this goes great with the about the mugging from Baseball and Barbecue. Mark, you are a lover, not a fighter. Physically, maybe not a fighter, but I can tell you mentally and what you put yourself into with your work, you're definitely a fighter for what you go through with that stuff. You put yourself all into it. Just not a lot of people know this, but you had somebody from The Wave come over and cover one of the QBCs.
Yeah.
And that reporter got almost everything wrong.
Yes. I remember. I seem to recall that.
And I reached out to you, and you pretty much fixed it right away. You had a retraction and the real story that came out, and which, you didn't have to do it. I mean, but your journalistic integrity shows you what you have with your integrity with journalism and what the QBC meant to you, and that it was also a way to teach the young journalist. It gave him a learning experience too of what he should be doing versus what he shouldn't be doing. And I know that you didn't, just from knowing who you are, I know you didn't go yelling at him full bore. You probably were just like, hey, let me tell you what was wrong with this. Let's fix it and let's make it right for the next time. And I really appreciated that. And I told you how much I appreciated it too.
No, I remember, and he is a great kid. He just he made a mistake. He got all caught up in the Darryl Strawberry interview, and I think that it was something that I think every young journalist needs to learn. I wish it wasn't such a drastic teachable moment, but better off that happens earlier in your career, where you get something wrong and you get to fix it. Because sometimes you don't get to fix it. Sometimes you don't get that second chance, to make that second impression or third impression. Sometimes, and in this particular instance, what was really helpful is that the kid in question that did the story, his mom is a journalist on TV. I don't want to mention any of their names because he's not in the business anymore, and whatever, it doesn't matter. But when I told him that he had to fix it and that he had to contact you and make all the changes and all that stuff, he kind of said something to his mom and said, "Yeah, I mean, this is like intense." She was like, "Well, that's what happens. This is the business. If you were going to choose to be in this business, this is the kind of stuff." These mea culpas that you're going to have to do, I'm lucky in that a lot of the mistakes that I've made in my career, and I've made my share, of course, I've had that opportunity to do the do-over, to apologize and fix something. And, you know, thankfully, so far, knock on wood, I've been able to, you know, kind of navigate. Because let's be honest, I mean, this is especially if you're a journalist that cares, you know. I've been told that I've been called a lot of different things. I've been called a leftist. I've been called a neoconservative. I've been called you name it. I've been called it. But I always try to stick to my guns, and I always try to say, look, it's not my job to take sides. You know, it's my job to tell the truth. And I think that with this book, you know, there have been a couple of people that have accused me of, you know, looking at these statistics or looking at these stories with Mets colored glasses. And, you know, I mean, I could see where people might think that, but, you know, I honestly tried to make each player or each chapter, as you said, the personal stories were part of it, because that's who I am. And that's who we are as fans. I don't run away from the fact that I'm a fan. I think that there's this feeling in journalism that you don't root in the press box. I've never rooted in the press box. But that doesn't mean that all of a sudden I become a Vulcan and I don't root for the team that I grew up rooting for. I mean, it's ridiculous. There is a common ground. I mean, you're going to tell me all these guys that cover the Red Sox that have box seats in Fenway, that they don't root for the Red Sox? Come on. You know, I get it. I get all the things that people say about you can't be a fan, but I'm proof positive that you can be a fan and still cover the team in an objective way. And I'm not saying that I hold myself up on this pedestal. It's not that. It's just that there's a lot of people like your cousin that call me a Yankee fan all the time, because I'm objective about my team that I root for. I'm also objective about the Yankees. I'm also objective about the only teams I'm not objective about are the Cubs, who I loathe, and I would hate them forever, and you know, the New Orleans Saints and the Philadelphia Flyers. Outside of those three teams, thankfully, I never have to write about any of them. I'm pretty objective about the teams that I cover, because it's just the way that I'm built. You know, I've written negative things about players that I like. You know, I've written positive things about players I don't like, and it's not to create this fake balance. It's not to create this, you know, like with radio shows where they, you know, like with wrestling, where it's like, the heel turn. I never knew anything about wrestling. You know, I kind of sort of knew about Andre the Giant and Jimmy Superfly Snuka. That was about it when I was a kid.
Those were the best years.
Yeah. And when I was on Sirius and I used to do my Baseball Digest fantasy baseball show, I had a producer, Justin Fensterman. We called him Fensty. And he came up with this segment that we used to do every week called the heel turn, but it was HEALS, you know, the heel's turn. And I didn't get it. I was like, all right, I get it, but I don't get it. And he explained to me that it's a wrestling thing, that, you know, you have a good guy who all of a sudden does a heel turn and becomes a bad guy. And the whole segment was about fantasy players that we once loved that now we hate. So he turned it into this great thing. And like, I was so slow on the uptake, I didn't really enjoy it until they got rid of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, oh, we got to do the heel turn again. But, you know, I mean, and that's why I guess it's so easy for me to do shows like this, Keith, and to do conversations and interviews like this, because I don't have to think about what I'm going to say. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's all there. It's, I don't have to say, what do I say on this show as opposed to what do I say on the other show? I mean, this is who I am. I mean, was that line in The Godfather or Salazzo. I'm not that clever. I use that all the time as a GIF or GIF, however you want to pronounce it. I do it all the time because I'm not smart enough to be devious. You know, I don't have the energy for it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll let people in behind the curtain a little bit. A lot of that sparring that me and my cousin do, it's the whole WWE mentality,
Right.
where you don't know who's going to be the heel today or who's going to be the good guy tomorrow, or known as the face. And I've been a wrestling fan my whole life. The first match I ever went to was Hogan winning the belt off the Iron Sheik in the Garden in 1984.
Wow.
So that's why I'm a wrestling fan. And if I wasn't in the film business, the other thing I wanted to do was go into wrestling.
Really?
Not even to be a wrestler, but to work somehow in that world. And being in the film business, I kind of still do it, where I'm in that world. I might not be doing production or producing or doing stuff every day. And that's what's great about these shows and the QBC is where I can use my mental acumen and all the stuff I've learned over the years to produce something like this. I mean, every day I'm just, working on set, doing grunt work basically.
Right.
But while I'm doing that grunt work, I'm thinking about doing this. And I don't know if I've told people this, but I hate talking in front of people. I've gotten good at it now. I've gotten good at schmoozing, which is something I always hated doing, but I've actually been able to now host shows. And I used to always hate doing that. I hated doing public presentations. I hated doing all this kind of stuff like at school. Even when I was in communications, doing my own TV shows for classes, I hated being in front of a camera. Put me behind the camera, I'm great. In front of the camera, I hate it. But being the Media Goon, which was my character, I was able to put myself out there as the Media Goon and not Keith.
Right.
And that's helped me become doing this now. And people, like, I've had actors that I've worked with on like Gotham that tell me, hey, whenever you do a show, I want to, support you by coming on and being a part of it, because I think, the stuff that we talk about every day would be great. And you know how to handle everything. And we know it's not fake, and we know it's not you trying to catch us on something.
Right.
So
yeah, that's a gift, man. It really is. When people react to you that way, it really is. I mean, I was so amazed when you started to do this, because you always look like you're annoyed at something.
I usually am.
It's usually me.
No, let's tell the truth. It's usually Mad Joe.
Okay. Well, it's becoming me. One day it will be me.
I in fact, like when you got married and you put some of the pictures on Facebook, I was like, oh my God, he smiled. This is great. It's awesome. Way to go.
I told her that was the only time I was smiling for pictures ever again. She got that day out of me and the honeymoon, and that was it.
That was it.
That was it. So now, before we actually came on here, we were talking about how great your book is. I put the little thing here, Gotham Baseball, New York's all-time team, available now. I know Amazon has it, Kindle.
Right.
I'm sure it's at some major retailers.
It's at Barnes and Noble. It's at Target. But I think, in this pandemic, I've gotten to be part of the Pandemic Baseball Book Club. And they do a great job of basically corralling all the authors that had books that come out in 2020. There's a whole group now for 2021. And they've done a great job of supporting, this is like a group of people like you created with QBC, and that you probably know, Joe, with the artist world. Where people have really kind of banded together and try to help each other.
Yeah, a network of creatives. It's been
and
good thing out of this pandemic.
So we've been doing work with bookshop.org, and if people want to buy the book, I look, you can go to gothambaseball.com and there's a section that says the book. that gives you all the choices. You can buy from Bookshop, you can buy from Amazon, you can buy the Kindle version, whatever anybody is willing to do it. Thank you. But if people want an autographed copy, they can get me directly. I have Venmo, I have PayPal. But really, if you're going to buy a book and you don't care if it's signed or not, stop first at bookshop.org.
Yeah, just buy the book. It's a good book. I'm not just saying this to blow smoke up Healey's ass because he knows I wouldn't.
No, I definitely know that.
I enjoyed it. I read it while I was at work when I was killing time. Everything about it's great. I'm telling you, especially when he gets mugged, you could be cheering for the villains.
Cheering for the muggers.
Yeah. Hey, hope they don't get hurt. I hope they don't get hurt.
Are they Cubs fans? Is that why you don't like the Cubs? Or
no, they weren't Cubs fans. They were probably Dodger fans. But I have a soft spot for the Dodgers. So one thing I do want to, and I'm glad that you came back, Joe. One thing it really meant a lot to me for the book and was the artists that are a part of it. John Panisi did all the illustrations of the players, and Sports Collectors Digest not only called the book one of the best of 2020, but they also said it was the best illustrated book of 2020, and that's all John Panisi and Todd Radham. Todd is the one who designed the uniforms, as I said before.
Todd's amazing.
He's so great.
And he did logo designer.
Yeah, and he did the logo for Gotham Baseball. He did the uniforms for Gotham Baseball, and he also did the book cover. And I just want to tell that story. I know we're like probably over, but when it came time to design the cover, Todd is like the dean of logo design. I mean, the guy's incredible. He worked for the NBA, the NFL, MLB. His designs are everywhere. He did the Big Three with Ice Cube. To work with him, for him to tell me that he wanted to partner with me on something, that's like James Caan telling me he wants to do a scene with me. I mean, that's like, it's unbelievable. So when it came time to do the cover, the publisher had ideas about doing the cover, and I'm like, look, if Todd Radham wants to do my cover, he's going to do whatever he wants. I mean, he's designed 2,000 book covers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whatever he wants to do. And Todd asked me what I wanted, right? So we went to Foley's. We spent about 3 hours at Foley's, and we worked out. I'm a big fan of Todd, in addition to being somebody who follows him. So, he's done some of this really incredible Art Deco kind of design. I didn't want to just have a player's picture on the cover, because it's not a biography of a player. It's not that kind of a book. And his design with the token, with the, I mean, it's just amazing it's
well done. It's really well
done. Yeah. So, I mean, the art of the book is just as important as the words in the book. And just going back to what you said, Keith, about the way it was constructed, I knew I had to have some statistics in there to justify some of the choices that I made. And I knew there had to be some, analytics in there as well, because you can't have statistics without having some analytics in there, because there are younger fans that think that FIP and WHIP and ERA are more important than wins or strikeouts or whatever. Same thing with RBI and home runs and average. You had to have OPS. You had to have different statistics in there that talk to a lot of people. But then there's other people that, I know when I read some of this stuff, when it's just overwrought with statistics, I don't care. I'm a storyteller. I love stories. I like to listen to stories. When I read a book and it's overwhelmed with statistics, I'm not interested in that book. I want to hear the story. I can't tell you how many times I've read it. I've picked up a book about a player I like, and I learned nothing. And I'm not going to talk about the book I just recently read. I'm not going to say who wrote it. I'm not going to say what it's about. But I felt like it was put together by things that this person had already wrote. There was nothing new. And I said, I'm glad that I picked this book out of the library and didn't invest my very limited income to buy this book, because it really is a cut and I call stuff like that a cut and paste job. Like cut and paste journalism to me is the worst. It's like when you take somebody else's story or a press release, you cut and paste a couple of things here and there and pass it off as something else and put your name on it.
We have that in the art world too.
There's a whole bunch of tracers
and photoshoppers.
Yeah. Yes, we all share a knowing smile with that one, which you turned me on to, Keith. I remember, but it's the truth. I mean, I've seen it happen to you, Joe. I've seen it happen to you. I'm like, wait a minute, is this you? And you're like, no, unfortunately, it is not. And it's a shame. It's a shame. I don't have my glasses on. What does that say?
OMG, Joe Field. So Joe is making the rounds with people recognizing him right now.
Joe Field. Very nice.
I got a C&D from Jim Davis from Garfield. I think. I have to change my pajamas into Felix the cat.
I wanted to tell you guys. Are you guys aware of the ESPN 30 for 30 that's coming out this year about the Mets, the '86 Mets?
No.
Which one is that by?
It's by Nick Davis.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of stuff behind the scenes from somebody else.
Yeah, well, hopefully I'm in it. I mean, I did spend a day with Nick. He's awesome, by the way. And because I'm a movie guy, and he never talks about it, but like his grandfather was, his grandfather was Mankiewicz, what that movie Mank is about, that's on Netflix. That's his grandfather. And his great uncle was Joe Mankiewicz. And he's cousins with Ben Mankiewicz, who's on TCM all the time, Turner Classic Movies. And I vociferously watch that. I love old movies. And it's a good thing I didn't know that when I went to go, shoot the documentary, because I would have never been able, I would never gone on this, because all I would want to talk about was the old movies. You know what I'm saying? So it's a good thing I didn't know that until afterwards. But I'm really excited about that on a number of levels. I can't wait until that thing comes out. And not just because I'm hopefully going to be in it, but because that, in my opinion, the '86 Mets have never been put together correctly. I don't think they've been portrayed correctly. And I respect Jeff Pearlman a lot. I do like that book a lot. The bad guys won. But I just don't think that team has ever been chronicled correctly. So I'm really excited. I think Nick has both the passion of the Met fan and the expertise of a filmmaker. His Ted Williams. Did you guys see his Ted Williams piece?
No. But like talking about the whole '86 thing, do you remember Heather Quinlan? She was at the QVC.
Yes. Yep.
So she has that '86 documentary that she still can't get put out. She keeps trying to get. So she has a lot of stuff that's on there, and I've been trying to help her to put that out. And she's got some great interviews too.
I would like to see that. I think Heather is a good person. I don't know her work as well as I should, but I was always, I gave her the business too at one point. I was like, how did you not talk to me? Don't you ever watch Mets Week? When Mets Weekly was on, I did all the '86 Mets segments. I did a lot of them, as a matter of fact.
I told her don't even bother with you.
I'm sure you did.
Well, that was actually one of the first things I ever did in front of a camera. Yeah, and I think that was before I lost my weight, and so I can't wait to see what I actually look like in those videos and how stupid
Wow.
I come off
Wow.
sounding before I actually had any confidence in front of a mic. So, but yeah, all this 86 love, I'll probably watch the 30 for 30. I don't know if I have ESPN on YouTube TV. I guess I could always do ESPN Plus, since I have Disney and Hulu Plus. So
Well,
all
I'm
these
gonna have
things.
to. I look if I'm in it. I mean, he was very nice about it. He's like, oh, I said, look, if I wind up like Kevin Costner and what was the movie he was cut out of? The Big Chill. I said, if you do a Kevin Costner and you cut me out, just make sure you make Silverado, you make another thing, and you give me the leading role.
Maybe you can do a QBC documentary.
No, hey, that would be cool. I would watch that. That would be really cool. That would be
Especially,
interesting too. I think that would be and there's footage. Is there footage from Donovan's?
yeah, there's still footage. I got to see if it's still on Vimeo because I moved everything from Vimeo over to YouTube. So
Right.
I might have moved it over to YouTube. But yeah, we have from Donovan's. We have. I would love to see what people thought about the whole Yahoo thing that we dealt with and
And the quarterback.
Tremendous.
that we're dealing with now with the other quarterback that tried to use QBC. I'm not going to mention any names. I'll tell you off the air, Mark.
Oh, I'm not aware of that.
And then there's another thing that we're dealing with now too. So one of the best things ever was when we trademarked the QBC. And
well, that was really smart. Obviously, that was really smart.
I always trademark things that people don't want to steal,
like Joe Field,
which I'm getting sued for currently.
Just say your name's Dave Maggio.
I am Dave Maggio. No, because I'm on a computer, so it can't be Dave.
Change it quick. All right, so I'm gonna stop being silly for a second.
Come on, Mark, get serious.
Hold on, let me be serious for a second. So Mark, we were talking beforehand about how you're doing other podcasts besides Gotham baseball with your son.
Trying
to expand the Healey band.
My son Jack, told me he really wanted to get into podcasting. So we, so I'm trying to help him out, just like I would help any journalist, any young journalist that wants to help, wants to learn, and I want him to be exposed to different people. So we did a podcast the other day with Tim Ryder, and Jack hosted it. He hosted a version of Gotham Baseball Live, and and we're gonna be doing some other stuff. We've done a Gotham Gridiron podcast together. We'll do a Gotham Hoops, I believe, in the next couple of days. We're gonna do a Gotham Hoops, look, the only way to learn is to do it. You could sit in a classroom and you can take notes and you can do all that stuff. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't, but having the opportunity to work with someone like Jack, who really cares about it, and he's my son, so that's like awesome. It's just I get a lot of over the years, there's always been people that have asked for advice, and I always say, look, the only advice that I could give you is that it's not easy. Your intent is only going, the intent that you have with what you want to do with your career can only be really achieved if you execute it properly. And that means you got to give it your all. You can't leave. And I know these are all cliches, but there's really no other way to do it. You can't expect anyone to figure it out for you. I've learned in my career, and again, like I've always looked at myself as a tweener. Like I did not go to journalism school, but I worked at the Associated Press for 8 years. So anything I was going to learn in journalism school, I learned by doing it at Associated Press. I was terrible. When I got my first job as a producer on an AM radio show, I mean, they were like, okay, make a couple of carts and cut up this tape. I was like, what? Are you insane? I don't know how to do any of that crap. I'm here to be on the radio. You know, what are you doing?
Back in the day when you had to use the tape and the splicing.
Oh man, like you want to watch me do that? Oh my God, it's like that's hilarious. I mean, but I had a guy that I worked with at the radio station. I talk about him in the book, this guy Bill Hall, and he taught me how to do everything. And then he liked my passion so much, he was the first guy to put me on the air. And he was just their sports guy, you know, and he would talk about high school sports in Stamford, Connecticut. And, you know, this was right around the time that Bobby Valentine was named the manager in 1995, I guess it was, or 96. Maybe it was 96. Yeah, it was 96. And the radio station, I used to walk by Bobby Valentine's restaurant in Stamford to get to the radio station. But I was getting off the train to go and do. And I'd walk by it and I'd be like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if Bobby Valentine was the manager? And then all of a sudden he became the manager. And I got to get on the air, you know, with, you know, he put me on to do a Bobby Valentine report. So he just, and it was only because he felt bad for me, because I was like, I don't know what to do. You know what I'm saying? It was like,
and he heard about how many times you got mugged. So
yeah, no, he didn't know any of that, but really, like if it wasn't for the fact that I wanted to learn and that I wanted to be better and I wanted to get on the air, like there was a passion there. And, you know, Jack has that same, you know, like he wants to be on the air. He wants to get into podcasting. So the least I can do, you know, is to, you know, help him like I've been helped in my career, you know. And I've always had that attitude with people who are in the business, you know, when people come to me and they want to be on shows or they want to get in the business, you know, if I can't do that with my own son, then, you know, I'm a terrible father, you know what I'm saying? Like I got to do the right thing. So, but he wants to do it. I don't feel like I'm doing work. You know, I feel like this is something for us to do together. So it's really cool. Tim Ryder was great the other day as a guest, and he really kind of like bought into the whole thing, you know, and it was he was like the perfect guest for Jack for Jack's first time hosting, not just being a co-host, but the first time hosting. Like Tim was the perfect guest, so that worked out really well.
I think you guys should do Gotham baseball on Gotham, the TV show. So you should have a podcast, Gotham on Gotham.
That would be cool. We both love it. You know, I got into it late. I was telling you that I got into it late, but I really, I dig it, man. It was well done. It was a well done show.
The headphones I'm wearing right now are from Gotham. That was one of our rap, it's one of our rap gifts.
That's cool.
It actually says Gotham on it. Yeah.
Very cool.
Nice.
Very cool. And when I came up with the name Gotham Baseball, it really wasn't about Batman as much as it was about, I didn't want to do Big Apple baseball. I didn't want to do New York baseball. I wanted it to be something evocative. And, you know, so when I thought of Gotham baseball, I really wasn't thinking, you know what I'm saying? Like, I really wasn't thinking about Batman. I mean, it was part of it. It was part of the thought process of Gotham City, you know, Gotham being New York. But, you know, people talk about Gotham all the time, not necessarily about Batman. So that was kind of I just wanted something to incorporate both teams and all the teams that have played in New York without, you know, it was the past, the present, and the future of the New York game. That's always what it was supposed to be. And I think we've, you know, I mean, it's been, you know, we just celebrated our 15th year. And, you know, it was always supposed to be about a gathering place for baseball fans, you know, whether you're a Met fan, whether you're a Yankee fan. And I just want everybody to get along. You know, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to get the Yankee fans and the Met fans in the same room. But, you know, I know it's a harder road to travel. You know what I'm saying? I could have been very easy to start up a Met blog. You know, I could have done something like that right away, you know. And I've had people tell me, you know, why do you even write about the Yankees, you know? But like I write about in the book, man, the Yankees have always been good to me. Always. George, I have letters from George Steinbrenner. I don't have any nice letters from the Mets. Maybe a cease and desist.
Yeah, those are fun.
Believe it or not, I've never gotten one.
That's shocking. That is shocking to me.
They've actually, I got, for all the crap that the Mets have done over the years to other people, they actually embraced us. Even though they did their own fan fest this year, and they kept telling us Mets fans don't care about a fan fest. They don't want to see a fan fest. Once we did the proof of concept, hey, by the way, we're going to do a fan fest, you know? Right. So they, like I said, they did ask us to be a part of it. They asked us to help out some things, and we go, how much you going to pay us? They're like, nothing. I was like, yeah, see you later. You know, but that was typical old regime.
Yep.
You know, but I don't know if I might have told this. I can't remember if I did or not, but Jeff Wilpon wanted to come to the second to last QBC that we had at Catch.
Really?
Yep. And he was all gung ho about doing it. A couple of people talked him out of it. But when I was talking to the people inside that organization that I know, I was like, if he wants to actually start being liked, he has to get out of the ivory tower and come down and get the criticism and respond to the criticism and show that he's a person and not just a person that's locked off from everything. Yeah. And the fact that they did that, and he was even thinking about it, showed what kind of impact the QBC had. And the other thing is, when I got married, the Mets tweeted out, "Congratulations." You know,
wow.
That still blows my mind, you know? For all the crappy stuff that's happened with the Mets, we've had some really cool stuff that's happened to me personally. You know, I was able to throw out a first pitch. It wasn't directly through the Mets, but growing up, I never thought I was going to throw out a first pitch, and I was able to.
That's awesome. I would love to do that.
I've done it twice. I've done that at Citi Field and that with the Cyclones.
Right.
And never would have been able to do that if I didn't have the QBC behind me, or if I didn't have the blogs behind me, and if I didn't have friends behind me and people that supported us. And I'm hoping that everybody that's watching this now and later throws that support behind you and gets the book, because the book is good.
That would be great. That would be great. You know, I mean, like I said, I would never equate having book signings canceled, or, you know, having my book being released during a pandemic ever. I would never equate that disappointment with any suffering that anyone's ever been through, or losing a job, or losing, you know, like my friend Sean Clancy, you know, lost Foley's, you know, because of the pandemic. So yeah, it sucks that I wasn't able to do my book launch there, because it was a dream to do my book launch there. But I think about all the people that lost their jobs. You know, I think about all the people that lost family members. I think about all that stuff. So I would never equate not being able to have my author talks, not having my book signings, not having all these things that I had planned that I had to cancel. You know, I'd never equate that with, you know, the real suffering. But it sucked. It sucked that I finally published a book and I wasn't able to do anything with it, you know. Basically to beg people to buy it, you know.
So the pandemic happened because you wrote a book.
Well, that's what John Panisi says. That's what John says. It's like, it's all your fault.
You notice that you sell more books hardcover or hard copy, or digital downloads? Which way do the sales go now these days? I mean, a lot of people with the Kindle downloads, or do people purchase more actual books?
I think that the last numbers I saw is that a book like this, I would rather people buy it. I think it you know, and you've seen both, Keith. I mean, I think that a lot of people have bought the Kindle version, but I think that the hard copy version, because of the artwork.
Yeah, I prefer hard copy myself. Yeah. But I know now I can't read on the Kindle. I just heard that. I hear that.
I have bad eyesight.
Yeah, me too.
And I have a cornea disease, and so I have actually I've had prosthetics in both eyes. Yeah, crazy. So I like to read books.
Yeah.
On on my Nook or on ebooks, but I still love the real book, especially if the book has pictures or illustrations in it. I would rather have the real thing.
I'm the same way. I mean, I love digital. Obviously, I'm on the computer all day, but when you have a book, it's nothing like it, just to have a book, to peel your eyes away from the computer for a few hours and read a book is much better. Yeah.
Yeah. Like when I'm my wife is a big reader. She loves to read. And, sometimes we'll have days where, I haven't in a while, just because of the nature of what I do is reading and writing all the time, being the editor-in-chief of a newspaper. But when I do read for fun, there's nothing like, being at the beach and reading a real book.
Yeah.
Sitting on your chair on the porch and reading a real book. It's really like awesome. But I think that there's, there was a time when ebooks blew up and people weren't buying printed books.
Yeah.
But I think those numbers have kind of come back to earth. And I think that part of it's the pricing now. There's a similarity in the pricing. It's not as this the way it was.
Even with the comic books, they were trying to push that model. I mean, obviously DC Universe, they're doing that. And I tried it for a while, but I still like reading, even the comic book, just having the actual hard copy, digital on the iPad. And it's not the same thing, but
I think print, whether it's newspapers, especially the community newspapers, the Wave that I work for, I think that print will always have a place, and it'll be like vinyl.
Yeah.
People just like that nostalgia of having, the paper in their hands. I mean, we have, we're unique with the Wave that we have a lot of print subscribers and people who prefer the paper and don't even have a digital subscription. And I know that's going to change at some point, but I like having the print paper myself too. And I get it. I get that sometimes it's not as immediate as the digital stuff is, but I try to do the paper and our digital so that they complement each other rather than compete with each other. And I think that's really the trick, in this industry right now.
I used to read a paper every morning,
the
paper. And now, unfortunately, I go on Twitter and I get all the news there, and it's sad. I mean, I feel, I just,
you know what it is? I think that unless you, I find that if I rely on Twitter or Facebook is a hellscape.
Well, Facebook's also 3 days after Twitter, whatever news on Twitter comes up.
The big thing for me is that I find that if I rely on Twitter for news, I'm going to lose out on stuff, because there's stuff that, there's just stuff that there's so much nonsense.
Oh yeah.
You have to wade through. There's so much noise. There's so much noise that you have to wade through to get to,
And it's an echo chamber. I mean, one spreads a rumor and it turns into, oh, this is true. And then you find out, oh no, it never happened.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So, I being in the newspaper business, I like to, well, there you go. There's Mike Piazza wearing the Gotham baseball uniform.
Very nice. Very nice.
That's Derek Jeter. Yeah, John Panisi did a fantastic job. He really did. I'm very lucky that I've worked with some great artists, and I'm looking forward to whenever we finally get next going.
I know. I can't wait.
Yeah. I really apologize for not.
Don't worry.
It's been so crazy, like with the pandemic and everything, and just keeping the Wave afloat has been, we have a great group of advertisers. We have a great group of supporters. We have a great, readership that have kept us going and kept the lights on. And, but I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
There's David Wright.
All right, that's all I'm going to show. I just wanted to show how good the artwork was since we're talking to
I
Joe.
love. I tell you that the David Wright. He is such. If people, anybody that's never dealt with him, I mean, he is just the best. He really is, man. I'm going to tell you a story. I've written about this. This is how I want to close it out, because I think this is the difference and the juxtaposition of Patrick Ewing yesterday making a big deal about getting security. So David Wright had been probably with the Mets for about a year, and he goes to Foley's. Maybe it was a little bit longer. I don't know the exact day that this happened, the date that it happened, but I know it happened because Sean Clancy told me the story. So David Wright shows up at Foley's he's got to ask Sean a question, but Sean wasn't there. And Sean's dad, Big John, Papa John, was in the place. Now, John, he knows nothing about sports. Nothing. He used to be the maitre d' at Toots Shores. He knows everything, but he's not a sports guy. So he said he saw David and he goes, "Oh, can I help you, young man?" And David's like, "Oh, I'm looking for Sean." So Papa John decides, he's like, "Oh, yeah, I guess you're looking for a job. Here's an application." He gives him an application. Right? So, David's not going to be like, "Oh, no. He fills it out. He fills out the application. "Oh, you're a fine young man. Thank you much. I'll tell Sean that you were here and I'll give it to him." Right? So Sean comes about an hour later or whatever. And John, Mr. Clancy says, "Oh, Sean, there's a nice young man here. Filled out an application for a job. Here you go. I think you should hire him. He's a nice fella." And he reads it and he's like, "Dad, this is David Wright. He plays for the Mets." He had no idea. He had no clue.
So he didn't get the job.
I'm telling you, but that's the kind of guy he is. Like, he just filled it out, like he didn't, he didn't big time the guy. Like, "Oh, don't you know who I am?" Like, he was just, and that's why, that's why David is David. When I called him, and it really was all because of Mets are own, because the Mets were not giving me access. First they said they would, and then they said that he was too busy. But Mazzarone helped me get the interview with David for the book. And I'd interviewed David a bunch of times, but I wanted something recent, for his chapter. And he was like, "Of course I remember Gotham Baseball. You guys put me on the cover." And I did. We did. We were the first publication to put him on the cover. We named him Player of the Year in 2005. And, and he said, "Oh, I have it in my office. And, I hope when you write this book, that you'll send a copy, to me." And it's just like, like, he didn't have to say that, like, he could have just said, "Okay, I'll do the interview." It's just the kind of guy that he is. And why it's, it's not a tragedy, because, but it is very sad that he was not able to finish his career, win a World Series, and get to Cooperstown, because I think that's where he would have wound up had he been able to play healthy, for the rest of his career. And that's why he's in the book, because, I'm not putting A-Rod on that team. It's not going to happen. The guy was a serial PED user. Almost everything he accomplished in the Yankees was done on the juice. So I'm not, if other people want to say that he's the best and they love him and he's the best of all time, let them. I'm not putting that guy in my book. It's my book, and Nettles was close. I mean, I grew up watching Greg Nettles, and I thought Greg Nettles was a fantastic player. But like Howie Rose said, David was on a Hall of Fame track, and the only thing that really took him off of it was the injuries. And for as good as Nettles was, I mean, he was a complimentary player. I mean, yes, he had some great years and he hit a lot of home runs, but he was also a 250 hitter. and he was a Gold Glover, and he certainly was a great fielder. But I think at the end of the day, most of the people I talked with said that David was the better all-around player. So
there's some similarities with David and Mattingly, right? I mean, with how the career ended.
Oh, no question.
Yeah,
No
another
question.
player that another year he would have had a ring.
And also a guy. They're both guys that at the time that they were at their best, they were the leading men on the teams. They were the face of the franchise. And, there's a pressure. There is a microscope that goes along with that. I think both of them handled it very well. But eventually, Mattingly did get some complimentary pieces, whereas David really never did. David really never got. And neither did Mike Piazza. Let's be honest. Outside of a good year by Robin Ventura in '99, Mike never had that. Never had the Robin to his Batman. And I think those things lend themselves to their greatness. The fact that they had to do it all, that they didn't have anybody around them protecting them in the lineup, protecting them in the clubhouse from the media, protecting them from the terrible ownership that had infected the team. So, that a lot of that stuff went into it, and I talk about it in the book, and people say, oh, that's not a big deal, but I think it is. I think when the pressure of an organization and the expectations of the fan base, when that is pressure, is that kind of pressure in New York is sometimes insurmountable. And I think both of those guys handled it, with a lot of class and a lot of grace.
Yeah, we were very lucky with David Wright when we gave him the Gil Hodges Unforgettable Fire Award, that he was able to accept it through SNY, but he looked like he was touched by it.
Yes.
I don't know what he knew about the QBC before that, but he genuinely was like, hey, this from the fans. I'm getting stuff from the fans that makes me happy. And you could see what kind of a guy he was.
Yeah.
I also have friends that were friends with his family, and I've heard all the cool stories about him behind the scenes that people don't know about, stuff that he would do for other people that he doesn't want to get out there. So I've always had good respect for him, and I really do feel that his career got cut short, but he still had a great career. So how many people can say they were a third baseman for one of the biggest markets in the country? So
no question, absolutely.
And talking about Foley's, maybe one day we can get some of the people from Foley's on, and you can be on with me, Mark, since you know everybody.
I think that Sean would love to do it. I mean, I'm hoping that Sean has some plans to open up a new place. I know that he would love to. I just don't know if it's going to be in New York. I don't know what, I don't know. I know he wants to, I know he wants to bring back Foley's, but I'd love to have him on. Absolutely. That'd be great. I'll talk to him.
If only if the Mets had a billionaire owner that could, maybe buy the name and put him in charge of it instead of that really crappy McFadden's that's there at the ballpark. Maybe, I don't know. I'm just drawing out, some ideas that might be a great idea to do something like that. But, that's just me. I don't have any ideas. Who came up with the QBC name? Oh, yeah, it wasn't me or anything like that. Queens Baseball Convention? Nah, that wasn't me. So, yeah, I hope that it's in New York. I was able to go to Foley's 3 times. One of them was for my bachelor party.
Nice.
The guys, we all went out to Rangers vs. Devils in Newark, and then we went to the Foley's afterwards and went home from there. And that was like my first time ever in Foley's, believe it or not, was for my bachelor party.
That's awesome. Great place.
So I had very good memories of that. And my partner, Dan Tuick, sounds that Foley's panel would be a great QBC panel.
Yeah, it would be.
We might have to have Mr. Mark Healey do a double time one day. State of the Mets and State of Foley's.
That would be cool.
All right, so we're about to hit the hour and 30-minute mark. So I know you love to talk. that's the one thing I was going to say before. When I jumped onto that Zoom, when you were doing your Zoom reading, about the book,
Right.
I couldn't get a question in edgewise. I'm like, I'm out. I'm like, I'll do something with Mark later on. I'm out because he's just not going to stop.
Well, I was, part of that was nervousness because I was doing it. As you know, I was having all kinds of technical problems that night when I was doing it. And, the lighting was terrible and people were asking me questions and I can't see. It was just, I need a producer, man. That's my problem.
So if you want, the next time we do it, we'll do something with Gotham Baseball. We'll do a virtual signing even where you can have people, go through your Venmo or PayPal. They can come on here. We'll give them the link, and then they can tell you what to write to them on the books, and we could do questions, and you could do a reading and stuff.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome, Keith. Thank you, buddy. That would be great.
No problem. Even though I love talking to you, I'm tired of talking to you now. I put in a full day today.
Me too, buddy. It was fun, though. It was fun. I'm glad that Joe hopped on because, that image will stay with me for a while.
That's why I have him and Maggio on. They're my comic relief. These guys are great, and they just feed into my craziness. So I love it. All right, so
you have the occasional drunk check-in,
that was the best that night. Hey, can you jump on for a sec? Sure, no problem. Hey, I can't hear you. I'm out.
Yeah, where were you guys?
I was we were with my buddy Billy Casey, my buddy Billy, who I played CYO ball with back in Brooklyn. That's a long story, but I was with all the guys that I grew up with in Brooklyn. We were having
that was great.
We try to get together every couple of times a year, because a lot of guys are all over the place. Billy lives like 2 blocks away from me, which is awesome. Another guy lives in Rockville Center. But everybody else is like, one guy drove in from Rhode Island for the night, to be there with his brother. One guy comes from Nanuet. Another guy comes from Pelham. So, that was what it was. So I was feeling pretty good. I was smoking a cigar. We were outside, and that was interesting.
That was fun.
That was fun because we were just laughing after that. We're like, all right, I feel like this is like a real TV show now. Never know what's going to happen.
That was pretty funny.
All right, so I'm going to end the broadcast. Mark, hold on. Joe, hold on. I'll see you guys in a quick minute. I'm just going to actually play us some end credits on the way out. I thank Maggio, even though he's not part of this. Maybe that's why I should be thanking him, because he wasn't part of it tonight. All right, so I'll see you guys in a few.